Welcome everybody to podcast number 264. So I am here in Jacksonville, Florida at an Airbnb having the time of my life. Just took a walk with over to the beach, and I have a podcast for you that you're going to love. So here's a question for you. Are you leaving good decisions on the table? Stay with us to find out how to not do that.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everybody. I hope you're doing well. I've got a couple of reminders for you. So that your mother-in-law, your mother doesn't have to remind you or something else. Let's all start getting ready for Mother's Day. So if you've got a mother, wait a minute, hold on. We've all got mothers. If you've got a mother that I highly recommend that we all start getting ready for Mother's Day. So that's just a quick heads up for you, for all of the people that are staying with me from day to day. So I'm going to introduce the podcast today with kind of a different little bit of a topic. Well, hold on. So first of all, today's topic is about the first and second yes. Most people say yes more than you think, and they can do it, meaning they say yes more than you think the first time, and I'm going to talk about that. So this is a super important topic. If I haven't done it justice, stay with me. I promise you're going to love it. But first of all, I have to say, I've talked to a number of people recently who have a lot of negative people around them, and it's dragging them down, and it's hurting their faith, it's hurting their confidence, it's hurting their mood, it's hurting their well-being. And, I don't know why people get negative, but we have to stay around positive people with good energy. And I would just say, whether you elevate the situation or whether you just get out of the situation, my quick little tip and hint for you is please do not be around people that are negative all the time and dragging you down, because it will affect your ability to be high functioning. And nobody wants that to happen. We want you to be super successful and happy in life. And, we're never going to bless somebody's life by stooping to their level. We bless people's lives when we elevate them to ours. So if we're partaking in negativity, negative talk, gossip, criticism, all of those negative things, we need to get out of there. It's unbecoming of who we're going to be. So I want to say welcome everybody tonight. We've got a great podcast. That was just my little tidbit for the night. So first of all, Elevate Construction, we do project recovery. We do training and boot camps and consulting. Just signed up another superintendent boot camp. I am jazzed about it. Also, we have the one in the third week of May that I'm super excited about. And these are just going to keep on coming, and we're going to train this entire industry with high energy at a level of professional development where we have some of the best people in these roles, in the superintendent role and field engineer roles and foreman roles of any other industry. We are going to get this done. So if you have questions you want to attend, please let me know. So as I introduce the topic or the principle that we're going to talk about tonight, I want to say what I'm excited about. So Katie, I was talking to Katie and I was like, I'm doing a lot of trips where I'm traveling. And she said, you need to take 2 kids with you every time. And I'm like, wait a minute. So how does that work? So this is my second trip. I've taken 2 kids with me and I pay for their airfare myself. I don't bill that to clients. I pay for any extra for hotels. I don't bill that to clients. So any of the baseline travel expenses are obviously covered in a different way, but anything for the kids, food, everything I take care of. But they've been able to come with me and have neat little adventures. So like right now we're in Jacksonville, Florida, and my 2 little girls, and one of them is 16, but my 2 girls will be able to hang out at the beach because we're in a different time zone, stay up till 1, play games, watch movies, catch up on homeschool, and do fun stuff. So I'm really excited about how this business adventure supports family. And I'm really excited about that. So that's what I'm excited about in life right now. Being able to take the kids with me. So all day I've been on the plane working, making sure to get caught up on the computer, getting things done, preparing for meetings for tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. And then I got an hour tonight, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but I got an hour to walk with them on the beach and 30 minutes to go out to dinner. Well, that's time I wouldn't have otherwise had, so I'm really grateful for that. All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk about our fans and the feedback. And I'm really appreciative of everybody who's sharing this podcast and growing the podcast organically. We're really doing well, and we're on an uphill trajectory. So please keep sharing it. Please keep forwarding these episodes to people. Please keep encouraging people to subscribe and to leave comments. You're doing a great work. So here's what one person said. I just received your book. I'm very excited to finish it as soon as possible. Definitely a lot to learn and grow from. I know. Thank you very much for writing it. I regularly follow your updates, and I love everything that you do to contribute for the construction industry in books and in your podcast. So I want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. I've been also getting really good reviews for the book that Spencer and I wrote, Elevating Construction Takt Planning. We know that book is going to continue to develop. I'm going to update more of the manuscript as we get closer and closer to that. But we had to get a draft out there, and I'm getting really good reviews on that draft. So really, really appreciate that. So here's some conflict for us tonight. Not only do we need to stay away from negative people, we need to stay away from negative, self-doubting thoughts. There are so many times when we could ask a question or ask for something and the answer would have been yes, but we've already given up and assumed it would have been a no. So let me tell you just a quick story here. I was at a company and the projects were being sold with too little time for the overall duration. And we were charged to reduce or eliminate crash landings on projects. And the quest that we were on was to make sure that we had a right overall end date and really good schedules to get this done and great operations. And so we had to start with that good overall project duration. And even if I've told you before, there's usually a 5, 10, 15, it's really more like 15 or 20% difference between what we can sell for a project duration and what it actually takes to build it. And what we started doing was showing in a Takt plan the owner exactly how long it would take. And if something was amiss or if they had a stipulated end date that was unrealistic, that was going to put people in danger and not give the project enough time, we would have that conversation. And I constantly got told, no, don't ask. They're not going to give it to you. Don't ask. Well, I started asking for realistic visual, not conservative, not too liberal, meaning they weren't long or short. They were exactly what we needed, right? They just weren't the slash and burn too short durations, right? Started asking for the right thing. 80% of the time it worked. I tracked it 80% of the time. So we made a choice to go for it and to make sure that all project schedules were realistic. And if we were able to give back time early on from what we originally proposed, we would do it. But we never lied. We never, what do they call it? So we never sandbagged. We never made it unrealistic. We never kept it for ourselves, but we also never shortchanged everybody. We always said, this is what it is. And it worked 80% of the time. And the completion rate started to rise dramatically. And so we kept doing it with much success. So the principle I want to talk about tonight is that most of the time, most people will say yes more than you think. But here's the key in construction. Most people will say yes more than you think the first time. When we go tell the owner or somebody else something, a duration, a budget, a this or that or whatever, a commitment, and then we get them to say yes, usually when we go for the second yes, that's when it's going to anger them. So we need to, as soon as possible, have the most clarity about our overall project budget and our schedule. And you're going to do that with Takt planning, not only from a financial standpoint to make sure we have the right GCs and GRs planned in the project, but from a schedule standpoint, our trades will be able to estimate that properly. So you're 80% of the time, I'm betting you're going to get to your first yes. Sometimes we'll even get to a second yes, but we have to make sure that we're targeting that first time. So let's get into some principles here. The first part of these principles I stole from the Never Split the Difference, and I love that book. It's a great book about negotiation. I want to repeat. Oh, that was a motorcycle going by. Sorry. I want to repeat that I only intend and suggest and recommend ever using negotiation tactics to deal a win-win. If you're trying to mess over trade partners or owners, I can never condone that. I don't think that's right. You know that's not right. You should stop doing it. But if somebody's just in a combative relationship because the industry has taught them that, and you can use these negotiation tactics in order to get to a win-win, what's fair, what's right, what's going to make for a profitable project for everybody, then I definitely recommend. And so you have to have some morals and ethics with this. In his book, he talks about how not all yeses are the same. And Chris Voss talks about that. I'm sure you remember he was an FBI hostage negotiator, very successful man, owns his own business. I think it's the Black Swan Group. And so Chris Voss shared the secret in the book, Never Split the Difference, that there are actually three kinds of yeses. There's the counterfeit yes, there's the confirmation yes, and there's the commitment yes. A counterfeit yes is one in which your counterpart plans to say no, but either feels yes is an easier escape route or just wanted to disingenuously keep the conversation going to obtain more information from you. A confirmation yes is generally an innocent response to block questions. Mostly it's just simple affirmation, but no promise of action. And a commitment yes is the real deal, a true agreement that leads to action. The commitment yes is what you want, but the other two yes types also sound the same, and so we confuse ourselves to believe that we have a commitment yes, but instead we have either of the other two. And so if the counterpart doesn't take some kind of follow-up action, then it's most likely not a commitment, but a confirmation. The conversation might also look like a commitment in the beginning, but very soon can lead to a counterfeit after you provide the necessary information. And so really what he suggests is getting to know, meaning you don't want to start with yes, right? We've heard that from a number of leadership books or influential books, right? We want to start with some no's. We want to be clear about what's a no, what's a no, what's a no, so that when we get to a yes, it's more likely a commitment yes instead of a counterfeit yes or or a confirmation yes, disguising a no. And so that's a really good principle. So we need to know what the different types of yeses are. But from a commitment yes standpoint, we can get more of those than you really think. And so we need to be asking for the right schedule, the right team, the right budget, the right change orders when they are actually warranted. We need to ask and get yeses for asking for help from within our company or without. We need to have more faith in the process of asking for what we need, because studies have shown, and I'm specifically mentioning not only good management books, negotiation books, but I recently also read this in Brendon Burchard's book, High Performance Habits. When they studied this, most of the time, people say yes to things that are actually needed. And so my experience personally in tracking it is that they will say yes 80% of the time. Now, are you asking for popsicles? Are you asking for frivolous things? No. What I'm saying is, instead of hurting a bunch of trade partners and just saying no to a change order, why don't we ask if it's right? Instead of not getting the right overall project duration and hurting a bunch of people, why don't we just know what the situation is and then go ask the right question? And you get what I'm saying. Any situation, in fact, right now, please take 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever you want, and think of what you need on your project to protect human beings, to respect workers, to train your leaders, and to preserve families, and to create raving fans with your customers and live balanced lives and live a remarkable life with great high quality, safety, and a great product on your project with a happy team meeting their career goals. What should you be asking for to get that you're not asking for? Okay, so you're done thinking about it? That probably wasn't 15 seconds, but I can't shut up. I just love talking. So why aren't you asking for that? 80% of the time, as long as you're not, asking for one thing and then asking again and asking again, 80% of the time when you ask for something that's needed and it's actually real, you're going to get it. So why are you too afraid to go ask that question? If you need some help, go pick up the book, Never Split the Difference. Go get How to Win Friends and Influence People and prepare for that meeting and prepare for a win-win so that you can go in there confidently knowing that you're asking for the right things. So the point is, we need to be asking for what we need. But my point again is this. If you ask an owner for something and they say yes because they want to do the right thing, and then you come back at them and it turns out you didn't have all the information, or you didn't do your due diligence, or you weren't fully transparent, and you ask them again, that's when they're most of the time going to get annoyed, right? So when we tell the owner, in schematic design, hey, this is the project budget, and we don't have a completed schedule because we're still using CPM scheduling in pre-construction, and we don't do it the right way with Takt planning, right? And we say, oh yeah, this will be an 11-month job. And then in the CD phase, we're like, no, it's 13 months. Of course the owner's going to get annoyed. I would get annoyed. You would get annoyed. Why? Because you already said yes to something, wanting to do the right thing. And then because of incompetence, your service provider, your contractor is coming and asking for more, and it seems disingenuous. It seems irresponsible. It seems like you're being taken advantage of. So let me say this again. There's a first and a second yes. Most people always say yes more than you think the first time. And there are 3 types of yeses, okay? So I want you to remember that. A counterfeit yes, a confirmation yes, and a commitment yes. And we need to be asking for commitment yeses the first time for the right things by doing our due diligence with owners. My experience is that this will work at least 80% of the time. And so the current condition is we're leaving things on the table when it's not needed. So I challenge you, ask for what is needed. Make everything visual. There was a director of construction that I worked with on the owner side that was super wise. And she used to say to me, Jason, we need to know what the is. So if I asked for something, she wanted to see the data. She wanted to see the schedule. She wanted it summarized. She wanted it to be factual. She would ask questions. And when it made sense, she was like, okay, I can do this. She didn't want a bunch of BS. She didn't want garbage. She didn't want just somebody's guess or assumption, because she knew that would lead to a second and irresponsible question, a second and irresponsible yes that she couldn't give. So if you know what the is, and you've done your research, and you're being factual, and you're making it visual, and you're asking for what you need, then you can discuss the facts. We want to set up the right deals. Making sure that we enter projects with the right deal is one of the single most important things we can do. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and